Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast. I am your host, Leanna Hafer, and with me is our fantastic panel, including Rose.
Hello there.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
What's up? Hello.
And,
You're supposed to go hello there.
Hello there. How's that?
Yeah, there's a very strict etiquette to this show. I'm sure you all know. Yeah. We can't
all right,
disrupt...
Pat, how's it going? That's how I normally do things.
We can't disrupt the format because, people expect us to be very on point and consistent at all times.
See, I do it for the prequel memes. I want people in chat to go, General Kenobi. And then the first time that Rose also said hello there was someone in chat going, hang on, that's Lambert's thing.
Yeah. Well, we're here to bring you all the latest grand strategy news and more for the week. I always forget to say what day it is. It is, say, the 16th of September.
Oh, who even knows what day it is nowadays?
2020. Yeah, nobody actually knows what day it is.
I only know because then I have to keep track of how old my baby is. So.
Oh, yeah, you have that. That's almost like a cheat code. Yeah. You have a better reason to keep track of it. Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll start with the first industrial civ that has been announced for humankind, which is the Austro-Hungarians. The reason I find this particularly interesting is that their emblematic unit appears to be possibly an espionage-focused thing. Well, I don't know. Like, we didn't get to see an open dev anything like an espionage system so far as I remember.
But it might not come about till later, because if you think about it, it wasn't really a thing in like the medieval period and stuff. And I think the latest thing we saw in open dev were the Koreans and the Japanese fighting each other in the pre-modern era.
Yeah.
I
think they've kept a fairly tight lid on the later eras so far. So it could be that there's going to be something like an espionage system. Because it specifically says they're the first military intelligence service. So and
if they were the first military intelligence service like of any country, then it absolutely makes sense for them to be the emblematic unit. Even if I've never heard of them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you could probably debate that. I mean, does a shinobi count as military intelligence?
Like, maybe the first
feudal Japan,
organized modern style intelligence.
Right.
One could argue that Caesar used a kind of military intelligence with like scouts. Obviously, not Caesar wouldn't have been the first one, but just like using scouts, is that sort of military? Yeah. That's definitely military. It's certainly intelligence, and if they're dedicated to that role, that counts as a service, right?
Yeah, he used for Frumentari, didn't he, to scout out, the Hoover Dam and everything. I remember.
But as Chad is pointing out, if you've never heard of them, they must be really good.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, the best intelligence service is probably the one that's not really famous. Sorry, MI6 and the CIA. You guys, you're too popular.
MI6 is only, I guess, really, really famous because of James Bond. At least on this side of the pond.
A lot of people don't, and even in England, don't realize that MI6 is actually a real thing as well. They think it's just James Bond. It's like, you know what? They're doing the job perfectly well then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah.
And I think the CIA just became known here because of all the Cold War stuff.
Yeah.
And then really big with Snowden.
And we like spy fiction here. So like Tom Clancy definitely helped popularize the CIA and all kinds of procedural shows that,
Right, first tangent, favorite Tom Clancy novel? Because I've got one.
I haven't read any of them.
I mean, I feel like I'm super basic if I say like Hunt for Red October, but I like submarines.
Run for Red October is certainly a good one.
Yeah.
I've never read any of his books. I like his video games though, occasionally.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six is really, really good as well. That I guess that's sort of a one of that's a.
Yeah, I haven't actually read any of the Rainbow Six novels, so yeah.
Rainbow Six Siege.
I was more of a Clive Cussler reader in my early adulthood. Yeah, Tom Clancy, that's just too mainstream for me. It was all about that Dirk Pitt. Cussler. Yeah, no.
My favorite though is Red Storm Rising. That's a bloody good book. That's basically what if the Cold War went hot, and it's so good.
Like if Hearts of Iron 4 were gonna make an alternate history start date with like Cold War gone hot, that's kind of what I would like to see them pull from.
If somebody wants to make a mod of the Cold War went hot, name it Red Storm Rising. Like get in on that like brand. Before Ubisoft takes another one of their of Tom Clancy's names.
But anyway, so Austria-Hungary, they're going to get some sort of espionage related unit, or maybe it's just like a scout. I don't know. We haven't talked about the espionage system.
They're focused on culture.
Right. So their estate and their unique building is an opera house. So,
which makes sense.
Yeah.
Who else do you want for the industrial era then?
Well, it seems like based on the fact that Austria-Hungary is in there, we'll probably get like Kaiserreich Germany. Let's see. I think
they can't go too European though. Like there has to be. You have to remember there's more countries in the world as well. I think the USA is probably going to be there.
Yeah.
And I would like to see Britain as like the first industrial nation. Like we kicked off the Industrial Revolution.
You have to have Great Britain.
Yeah.
I would have Great Britain for
we've had an England already? For medieval period, but that's different than Great Britain.
Yes.
So they didn't have like a British Empire for early modern yet.
No,
I don't believe so.
Okay,
don't believe so.
So that would make perfect sense.
I would think a Japanese, though they might save them for modern.
Yeah, like
modern, and they might also save.
Good,
Qing. They might save USA for modern as well, because we didn't really become a superpower until post World War II.
Yeah, I was trying to think if you could break it up, like if you could have, I don't know, 13 colonies wouldn't make sense. But like Frontier America would be kind of an interesting pull for this era. I just don't know what you would call it.
Teddy's
this era, America
Republic.
Was
yeah. The Rough Riders is just the name of the entire faction.
Cowboys and shit. Yeah, be all right.
Well, and we'll talk about this a little bit later when we get to EU4. I'd love to see something like the Comanche for this era, like an industrial era Native American, North American civilization would be really interesting.
What I've just thought of though is if you've gone to Comanche, and we had obviously the Iroquois, other name that I can't remember, for a previous era. If you've gone with them, who are you going to go with in the modern era? If you want to keep it, culturally and sort of geographically normal, because moving from Comanche to USA kind of is like, that's a bit iffy.
I guess you could just stay as Comanche forever, I guess, right?
I mean, if you were going to do a Native American tribe for the modern era, I think for North America specifically, meaning north of the Rio Grande, what would make the most sense to me would be maybe the Navajo or the Cree, because they're both tribes that have fought for non-violently and won a lot of sovereignty from the nation states that they are nominally a part of, and still hold on to those, a lot of their original traditions and a lot of their original territory, at least, as insofar as you could say that they're independent underneath the aegis of a larger European style nation state.
Yeah.
But yeah, like either I think they did confirm Ming were going to be in there somewhere. Was Ming early
Ming
modern?
was a previous era.
Okay,
sure.
so I don't think we're getting a Chinese one for this era, because I think they said the only other Chinese civilization they hadn't announced yet was the People's Republic of China, which I'm going to assume is going to be modern era. So
yeah.
Certainly, I hope expansions will bring more Chinese history into this, as I've said before. But
every dynasty in it.
I imagine maybe for modern, they might do the EU.
That would be really interesting. Or for that might make more sense for whatever the last era is, if it's like information age or whatever. But yeah.
True.
But yeah, Edo Japan or even Meiji Japan would make would be really interesting for this era. Oh yeah, Edo was their early modern. So yeah, it would have to be Meiji Japan. That would be really cool.
I mean, I love the Meiji era, so I'm always on board with that.
There might be an India.
Yes,
Mughals.
Didn't we already have the Mughals?
Mughals, I think, were early modern, but if you had like the Raj, that could be a really interesting.
Yeah. Well, if it's
industrial,
which I assume it probably would be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Russia.
Oh, yeah. Obviously. Yeah. Russia's probably a very obvious one. And then,
the actual Empire of Russia.
Soviet
and
Union
then
for modern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you reckon we'd get an Israel, or is that too politically charged as well?
Oh, that's tough. Like, I know that Civilization has, or Firaxis has, like, that's been like kind of a big bugbear for them, is like, can we put Israel in the game without, while being culturally sensitive? And that's a tough
Mind
one.
you, I think it would be completely uncontroversial to put Israel down as like a ancient civilization in the future.
Well, then you would call it you wouldn't call it Israel in that case, would you? Call it like
Judea. I mean, Israel and Judea were both names for the historical Jewish kingdom in the Levant, so you could kind of go either way. I think Judea is less politically charged, just because the modern state that calls itself Israel, has more discussion around it. Judea, there hasn't been a Judea for a long time, so I don't think people are
as being
about that.
As being pointed out in chat. The problem with picking any civilization that's not in Europe in this time period is that Europe was kind of colonizing and dominating everywhere.
Right.
Well, then clearly we need Ethiopia there, because they weren't.
Yes. No, that's a very good point, actually,
Ethiopia they might make more sense for modern versus industrial, but Brazil, I think, would be a really good one for this era.
Argentina.
Argentina
before everything kind of fell apart. Because
industrial,
that terrible president.
And not modern.
Industrial for Argentina, which would be good because then they have a non-European nation.
Yeah, that would be a cool one to include, or one of the who was it, the South American tribe they added to Civ 6 that was like really good at guerrilla warfare.
No. But also Chad is pointing out Siam / Thailand might be very good.
Yeah. We have Ayutthaya, don't we?
We had that part of the world very early on.
Yeah. Bringing it back again would be good. We could probably have the Zulu for industrial. As one of the big African tribes.
Zulu would be really interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
For sure.
It's to be the rise of the Zulu, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to find.
Well, because the Industrial Revolution was like the late 1700s to like 1830 or 1840 or something like that. So I would think the industrial period would go from like the mid 1800s to World War I. Sort of.
So basically, we're thinking Victoria 2 times.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's the impression I get. Yeah.
So who are the most interesting? I mean, we're probably going to get a Prussia then, not a Kaiserreich Germany.
Yeah, that would make more sense, a Prussia.
Because then you could have a Germany in the modern.
Yeah, that's true. That would make sense.
I don't believe we've got a Prussia yet.
No. Yeah, they were missing from early modern. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense. The Mapuche were the one I was thinking of that were from the Civ 6 added. That would make sense for another South American tribe that would make sense for this era, because they very much resisted the colonization for quite a while.
Where were they? No, I don't know much about those.
They are, I want to say Chile, but let me make sure. Yeah, present day South Central Chile. So that's southwestern South America. Yeah.
Before we move away from humankind, though, I just gotta say I love your most recent comic. For the What If Humankind on the train.
Oh,
that is so good. That is so good.
The nuclear trains, yeah.
A dream, right? I mean, everyone wants that, basically.
I would absolutely expect that to happen if something like Chernobyl hadn't happened and the nuclear
well, we all know
didn't come in.
RBMK trains don't crash or derail, So.
We're gonna get there about an hour late. It's not great. It's not terrible.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, if we want to go way back before the invention of trains, we did get. It's not what I would really consider a meaty Imperator dev diary this week. It's more of a what can we possibly glean from these few screenshots they gave us, and then a lot of
the rock.
Yeah, and the rock, of course.
I will say that even though there's not much in this dev diary with no meat, still managed to make a 30-minute video talking about it.
I would expect nothing less. Yeah, so this is mostly more of a how the sausage is made dev diary. They're kind of talking about their work process. But as far as like what is actually relevant to us as players, I definitely see a new top bar icon here.
Yeah.
The mask, like I don't know what that is going to be. It's the second one from the right if you're looking at that rock screenshot.
Second one from the right? What are you looking at?
Or second one from the left, I'm sorry. The kind of pinkish one.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I see it.
I think it's between religion and finance.
That's culture. That's culture.
Okay. So I just haven't played enough Menander to
that's culture. That's already in. The new one is the green temple looking building icon on the far right.
Right.
Next to the question mark.
What do we think this is? Because green usually means something that is like, you should pay attention to this.
That's the green I see.
Yeah, no, that's finance, but not that one. All the way to the far right, next to the question mark.
Yeah, it's
the pop-ups. I was thinking of the actual UI. I wasn't even looking at those.
Yeah, there's nothing new there.
Okay. So green usually means this is something you should pay attention to, but it's not very high priority. What do we think this might be?
You can build something monumental, something like that. I think it's going to be maybe an addition to the religion system, where instead of just having, this is your holy site, this is going to be, you can upgrade your holy site.
Do you know what they say?
That's something that I've just thought of like right now, so that's not actually in my video. I need to redo it.
Wow, we know you wonder. Guys, what if you're building wonders?
I hate that. Nope, don't want it. I don't want to build wonders. I really don't want to build
you already have historical ones like the pyramids and stuff. What if they took something like they did in CK2 with the Great Works? And you build a gigantic temple to worship the god King Lambert.
Yeah.
Even if you're worshipping me, I don't want it. Right. We've already got some wonders that you can build. The Lighthouse of Alexandria, and we've got the Colossus of Rhodes. You can build them. It's not very involved. It's like an event chain and a button. But like, those are the wonders of the world. Leave them alone.
What about the Potala Palace?
What if you want to make pyramids in London?
No, keep that crap away. That's horrible. This ain't Civ where you can build wonders. You can build a bloody Eiffel Tower in bloody Japan. No, thank you.
Oh, that's the Tokyo Tower. So, let's paint a different color.
There's tower. There's one in Fukuoka, too. I went up the top of that.
Yeah,
so
glorious views
I've
of the
just
sea.
loaded up the game. Okay. I was wondering, right? Because if people in chat want to move caption thing, you can drag it away just in case it's in the wrong place. But right beneath the rock's neck, there is a new 3D model that we don't yet have any idea what it is. I was curious if for a moment that was a new, that would be like a holy site thing, but there isn't actually any holy site in Aquasulis where that is, in Britain. I was hoping that would be, and I was like, it's a holy site, so it's got to be something tied to that. But yeah, no, it's not. One other odd thing about this screenshot as well is, in Connetio, that's where Stonehenge is, and it's not there. I don't know why.
Didn't they have that on the map previously?
Yeah, no, that's been in since the start of the game.
Interesting.
I don't know why it's not there.
Yeah,
I don't know what that could be because there's literally nothing of value in Devon. So like,
those are boats.
Yeah, well, and like this is long after Stonehenge was built historically, so it's not like it would make sense for them to be like, oh, you can build Stonehenge.
Maybe you can tear it down.
Knock it over.
I'd also hate that.
You just hold your arm out and like run around in a circle and knock all of the stones over. Yeah, just to be an asshole. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess my updated theory is an update to holy sites, because it's something that I've been wondering about for a while. Is why I would like to be able to see holy sites on the map. A 3D model for them would be really cool.
Here you go. It says there's a few rocks in our path, and they're showing where Stonehenge should be.
Right, but that's
literally an image. We got a picture of the rock. Yeah.
Maybe they picked it. Maybe you can move Stonehenge. Maybe you could just pick it up and
move it to Devon.
You're welcome.
Just throw it on an ox cart and you just steal Stonehenge. Yeah,
that's what they did with Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
Some other teasers as well in the next image.
Yeah, it's blurred out in a way that takes my mind to some weird places.
And it's a screenshot of a monitor. Also, what heretic puts their bar on the side?
What heretic has the bloody month before the day in their date?
Hey, I did not decide how culturally that was decided on this side of the pond. This is a personal preference.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, he's moved to Sweden now. He lives in Malmö. So, like, get with, like, normal people and put the day before the month.
I've done both. I also say both Celsius and Fahrenheit.
I've always said, I prefer having day, month, year. But like, if you're from like Germany and you're saying 4 and 20 when you're counting, like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about how our date system doesn't make any sense.
The French are worse. The French are worse.
French is even worse. Yeah. So
it's not good.
There you go.
5
Do
and
year,
4
month,
20s
day,
or
because then it
whatever,
goes biggest to smallest. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's actually nothing on this screenshot really that there's to look at. All right, on the outliner, there's a new thing that could be something. It's underneath disloyal characters, so it could literally be anything that's already in the outliner, but it's probably also new.
Well, they blurred all this out.
Blurring it, it's something new, yeah.
But yeah, there's no way to know what that is. Holy site construction? I don't know. But I don't know. I'm really quite disappointed that there's nothing in the dev diary. Because I said, last week they said, oh, this is the new team. We've been working on an Imperator DLC for 9 whole months. What we've got coming for you is unprecedented. And you've got a couple of blurry screenshots and some wordplay, and I'm sorry, that's just not fucking good enough. It just isn't. Yeah. They could have done a very cryptic, show us an icon and, just unblurred, show us what the icon is, and then let the community go, rampant with their ideas of what it might be. But like having it blurred, there's nothing to fucking say about it other than how disappointed I am with it. And yeah, that's basically me. Although I never write my name with cursive.
Well, like I think there are definitely these dev diaries that are less about the content of the game and more about how, like I was saying, how the sausage is made. I think those are always going to be inherently less interesting to the majority of players. And like, I understand why they do them. I understand why certain people might be interested to know some of this behind the scenes stuff. But it's definitely not as cool as like introducing us to a new feature.
This is just mocking. We're currently working hard on carving out the final building blocks of this monumental update.
Oh yeah, they're trolling us. Like they are straight up trolling us.
But I'm just wondering who is responding to this in a positive way.
Yeah,
Imperator is not in a great place right now. The community goodwill to be trolled just ain't there.
No.
Yeah, I can see that.
In more positive notes, though, this picture is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, those artworks are.
The artwork's gorgeous.
Yeah, the event pictures are cool. I'm not sure what we could glean from them.
Well, as if you've ever visited a Roman room before, the best aspects of Roman culture is their graffiti.
Yes.
And that is not accurate of Roman graffiti.
Yeah, there's not enough bit in there.
Right? Yeah. It is far too safe for work to be proper Roman graffiti.
Yeah.
For sure.
And in here they're bringing gigantic
of
rocks.
Roman graffiti is in Pompeii. There's little dicks drawn on the floor pointing towards the nearest brothel. And I don't know, but that's just fucking amazing.
People never really change.
No, humans are humans, and we have been for a very long time.
Well, look here. We've got like blueprints stashed in a barrel. They're bringing gigantic rocks somewhere. They're showing graffiti on walls.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be monuments. I think monuments is going to be the new
monuments, some sort of great project.
Either that it's like a new graffiti expansion where you get to graffiti already existing monuments, in an immersive way. Preferably in Devon.
But yeah, like the wordplay as well. We're currently working hard on carving out the final building blocks of the monumental update.
Yes.
Just if you'd showed us what this blurred image was, what harm would it have done? It'd have got people excited instead of, salty. Although I say salty, I must be alone because nobody has disliked this dev diary on the reactions. Am I alone here in feeling completely
it's got 104 likes, 37 loves.
Yeah, I mean I'm underwhelmed by it. For sure. Like I don't know that I would I'm mad enough about it that I would hit the dislike button. I would like them to get out of the Mediterranean a little bit. Like I want my Barbarian DLC already.
Yes,
really bad.
If we got something with focusing on the British Isles or Scandinavia or Germany, something like that, I have to go back and play another campaign in Imperator. But
I'm wanting Greece to be done again. Oh, I just want all the Greece and Anatolia and these interesting places. Because I know,
are you saying the rest of the world's not interesting?
The tribes are not done justice yet.
No,
but at the same time,
not.
There's people that won't come back for tribes because they don't know them, and they don't know them because there's so little known about them. There is a lot known about the Greek area, the Greek world, and the Roman world, and the game needs to sort of fill the shoes of what we know of that period before it can invent things for the tribes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well you're the exact opposite.
Yeah. We had a very weak dev diary that made Lambert very sad. But how about a very strong dev diary that makes some Bulgarians very happy?
Yeah, the exact opposite, basically, of that Imperator dev diary is this latest Hoi 4 dev diary that goes into extreme depth on the mechanics and options available to Bulgaria in Hearts of Iron 4, which,
oh my god, I just keep scrolling. doesn't end.
I think I learned more about Bulgarian history from reading this dev diary, early 20th century Bulgarian history from reading this dev diary than I knew in total before reading this dev diary. Like I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything about Bulgaria during the World Wars, except that they backed the wrong side in World War I, and then you know,
like really last minute too, they backed the wrong side.
Like at a point that they should have known better.
Yeah.
I know more about Bulgaria during like the Crusader Kings era than I do about them during the World War II era.
Yeah, like the
they used to
Bulgarian
be
Empire,
fucking huge.
Yeah, with their interactions with the Byzantines during the medieval period. Yeah, I know quite a bit more about that.
I don't know who you're talking about there. The Roman Empire.
Sorry, the Eastern Roman Empire.
The Proto-Ottomans, as I call them.
Stop balking at calling them the Byzantines, Lambert. Just live with it.
I hate it. No.
Just like you have to live with WASD. Though, you may be happy to know, I had someone respond to one of my YouTube videos saying that WASD was one of the best things put into CK3. And
I know there's a lot of people that agree with you. I'm just never going to be one of them.
Someone very vehemently disagreed with me and you that they need their hotkeys there.
I know Groogy agrees with me. So, like...
But isn't Groogy the one that programmed an WASD mod for Imperator?
He programmed it to not do WASD because WASD is the default. I always thought that he was the one that had like pushed it to be WASD. And I brought it up with him. I was like, you ruined map movement. He's like, no, I'm like you. I hate this. So, I mean, WASD is horrible. Moving the map around with the mouse is the only way to do it. Middle mouse, click and drag, the way the gods intended.
Okay, well, I can just mute all of this in post-production, so that's fine. So another thing that you hate to see is Bulgaria's starting situation, which, you know, is kind of following along with some of the other Greece, which we saw last week, and some of the other Death or Dishonor minor Balkan powers, which actually they mentioned this was originally going to be in Death or Dishonor, but they kind of ran out of time to do it. Which is that they just start with a bunch of national spirits that are just like, we're straight up not having a good time, and we got to use our focus trees to get rid of those, which I kind of like as a design philosophy. We saw some of that with a lot of the Southeast Asian nations in EU4 that are getting updated. Like, I like the idea that they're going to dump you into this situation. Like, it's not mince words. Things aren't going great for you right now. You got to figure out how to fight your way out of this less than ideal situation. I like that as like a way to create a story. Anything in particular that looks exciting as far as Bulgaria's options on how to navigate this war?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's exciting. I don't know. I think there's like it makes Bulgaria too much of a protagonist, I guess. And I think if you make every nation in Hearts of Iron so much of a protagonist, then no one's a protagonist, you know? Like, Bulgaria can make its own faction. It can make Byzantium. I think Byzantium's a little bit overplayed. Too much Byzantium going on.
I agree. Roman Empire is better.
In the 1930s, you know, maybe a bit too silly.
But I mean, part of the point with these games is being able to jump in with any nation or any character and make them the protagonist. Like, that's sort of the appeal about it is I want to play the standard game. I want to be Germany and conquer the world, and then I die miserably to the UK and the US as they swoop in. I went down fighting. Or, you know, you start off as Little Turkey, which was sort of on the end of its golden era.
Yeah.
And then you build them back up and you go and reconquer everything that was lost.
Yeah, it wasn't really a golden era.
No,
it was at the end of their decline.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a decline. It was more kind of like they reached a high point and they just sort of plateaued for a long time before slowly
So,
yeah, it was kind of a slow
They were the sick
spiral
man of
into-
Europe for the past like century and a half before Hearts of
Right.
Iron.
Mhm.
It was kind of a slow spiral toward geopolitical,
I guess I just need to
more
get
or
into the
less.
mindset that like most people are playing Hearts of Iron single player still, right? Like, but I
Right.
don't think I've booted up Hearts of Iron single player in years now. At this point, I always play multiplayer with a bunch of friends,
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's out of the Paradox games, it's one of the ones that is much more fun in multiplayer than single player.
Which is kind of
at least vanilla Hearts of Iron. Like the mods are pretty fun for single player, but like vanilla Hearts of Iron, much more fun if you have at least one human player on each faction.
yeah.
100%.
Well,
I'd say that's kind of the same for all Paradox games. Like they are primarily single player games, but if you can get somebody who can regularly play with you, it does bring it into another like category of fun.
100%.
Well, and the thing about doing the making all the nations sort of a protagonist is it does give you more options in multiplayer. Let's say you do a multiplayer where you say, okay, no one can start as any of the major powers. They're giving more of these minor powers an interesting story to tell.
Yeah.
And I do
Because-
like that because it is kind of, it can be a little bit underwhelming to play as like if you play the US and you don't do the Second American Civil War, it's like you're just too strong. like if you even kind of know what you're doing, you're probably going to win the war, whichever side you end up on. So
Maybe I just think it's a little bit too messy. I don't know. Something. I don't get me wrong. Like, I like
border
more
gore,
options and stuff, but
worship
maybe
the
it's a
border
little bit-
gore.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another thing. I think this is a lot more border gory than like, I like an interesting story and something. Like Kaiserreich does this really well. Like it's an interesting story, but the border gore doesn't get too bad. But if you see that picture of Yugoslavia, if Bulgaria forms it, it doesn't look nice. I don't like the look of it.
Isn't it
It's
just
really
weird
chunky.
as Stalin look really weird?
Well, Stalin's
I mean,
part of
he
the
always-
old portraits, which is the old.
No, but I
old
mean,
style of
usually
portraits.
his picture, like his face, it looks like someone like stretched his upper lip kind of or something.
I think it's just
Yeah,
that
that is-
the mustache isn't pronounced enough. Like it looks like a mouth. Looks like a really
Yeah.
big set of lips.
yeah, like it looks like he just shaved like the upper 2/3 of his lip and then left
Yeah.
the mustache on the lower 2/3.
It looks like an axolotl or something, That's,
There's an actor that he kind of looks like on the top half, and then the bottom half is like, a 1940s version of the Joker.
Valergain is saying, "I'm gonna miss you, Rose. I'm gonna miss all of you." Yeah, we're criticizing Stalin, so obviously we're all screwed
No.
now.
Look, none of the remember how we noticed with Spain and Portugal that some of the icons were unfitting, I guess. Here they seem to fit a lot better. I'm not seeing any that
it
stand
seems
out.
like
100%.
they're going for a more cohesive art style with the icons.
That's much better. I mean, I still get something about the Portuguese icons still. It's so off. Something's so off about them. I still can't do it. But yeah, they've done a fantastic job on the icons. And I tell you what, they did a fantastic job with portraits too. The portraits look amazing, especially like the Regency Council. Fantastic. Like
I
brilliant.
love the cute little kid they have for the Bulgarian Regency Council.
Yeah.
There,
Same, yeah.
Like I wouldn't say this is going to be like really high on my list of countries I want to play in this update. Like I'll probably do Turkey and Greece first. But yeah.
I go Turkey every time, I reckon.
Yeah, I love that they're doing such an in-depth tree with all these decisions for what was really a very minor power.
I mean,
in World War
after
II,
complaining about like Bulgaria being a bit too memey and off the rails, I got to play as Turkey and instantly restore the Ottoman Empire. Like that's
yeah.
Well, that
Slap
would
those
still be
minarets
in
on everything.
the public consciousness in 1940s. I mean, there would be people alive that still remember it, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
unlike Byzantium, right? So like,
I mean, there are still Ottoman irredentists today in 2020.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah.
Well, you
is
say
there even
that
a
about
claimant to the throne? Like, is the line still going?
Yeah, it is. I think the guy lives
Yeah.
in Germany.
Oh,
yeah. He's like, he doesn't have any political power from what I know, but yeah, there is still a legitimate successor to the last Ottoman Sultan that is still alive.
Oh, there we are. Install him. Get that pretender back. Get the Zogu dynasty back too. Get them all back.
Yeah, isn't one of the Habsburgs a Formula One driver now?
He's in F2 or F3.
Really?
F2. Okay, yeah. I know there is a living Habsburg heir who does automotive racing. So
his chin looks fine.
Is he a Spanish Habsburg or an Austrian Habsburg?
Austrian.
He's Austrian.
His middle name is Croatian.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I don't know. Yeah.
He's just one large chin. He's become like all of Galicia is built upon this one chin of him, and then it'll rise, from a sea one day, and he'll reclaim his throne. That's how it'll work.
Yeah.
Karl von Habsburg. He was born in 1961.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we are, we certainly remember the Ottoman Empire and the Habsburgs. And Stellaris is adding some new civics to memorialize your ancient past. This is kind of a weird dev diary because it's really just like the entire dev diary is just introducing one new civic, which replaces the Otto Chthon monument chain with like this sort of memorial monument chain. It's kind of like the never forget civic for Stellaris. Gets a bonus for being built on Tomb Worlds and Relic Worlds. Gives you turns energy credits into Unity and Society research. Kind of cool for RP. I don't know that it really does anything especially exciting mechanically that we haven't seen before. It's kind of along the lines of, the feudal nobility civic, or like the one that gives you like middle manager jobs or whatever.
No, I like it. It's it's a small thing, but more flavors, more better in my book.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with more flavor.
Yep.
Yeah. RP wise, I like the civics that add new job types or new pop types. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. But
which one's your favorite? Because I gotta say, I do like the idea of Death Chroniclers. That just hits me somewhere real nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like you're going into the world of Ender's Game. The later books, the Speaker of the Dead books.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
I watched the movie.
Right.
You have never read Ender's Game?
Nope.
Oh, you should. Like,
wow, Lambert, you should.
Ender's Game is good. Speaker for the Dead and Xenocide are even better, I think.
But I pointed out
that I watched the movie because I know it's terrible, and I'm just straight up assuming, as I usually do, that the book is better.
Yes.
It's in the genre of like Harrison Ford is just here to collect a paycheck movies.
Yeah.
He's in every Harrison Ford movie
since 1990.
Yeah. Like he's stoned out of his mind and he doesn't really care, but they're paying him a lot of money to be there.
I mean, the visuals were kind of cool, but even then, they didn't do the battle rooms or whatever they're called correctly. It didn't
Yeah.
Speaking of books that got turned into trash, Game of Thrones.
Yes, we've covered that before on this podcast, I think. This is about you need to read Ender's Game, sir.
You should. Like Ender's Game, is worth reading, but like especially like Speaker for the Dead. Obviously, problematic author, etc., etc. You can read up all about him, but
here's the thing:
authors seem to be pretty much all of them nowadays.
Yeah,
most fantasy and sci-fi authors of the 20th century.
Yeah, Heinlein, Lovecraft, of course.
Anne McCaffrey was also questionable
recently, but Rowling.
Yes, J.K. Rowling.
Anyway, Speaker for the Dead is probably one of my favorite sci-fi books. It deals with some really interesting stuff in terms of like indigenous alien cultures and like the nature of like virtual entities and like how they perceive the world differently than, you know, organics would. Like, it's just really good. It plays with some really cool ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ursula
and like
K.
the book
Le Guin
will teach you Portuguese also.
Well, I'm out already. I don't want to learn Portuguese. Get out of here. I made an active effort my entire life to avoid learning Portuguese.
Because he doesn't like the flag. It's too bright.
Yeah. It's too, the icons are way off. I ain't learning Portuguese.
And then the Ender's Shadow books, which are about another character that the Ender's Shadow follows parallel to Ender's Game. Those get very political, and it's set like sort of, I guess it's kind of set in what is right now, but the world looks very different because, you know, he predicted differently. It's an alternate universe. But those get really good, though they get a little too obsessed with babies.
Speaking of icons, can I make like a
really well? When they've been translated into TV, His Dark Materials, the movie from a few years ago, absolute trash. Don't watch it. But the series that's it's got 1 or 2 seasons now is really, really good. It's
that was filmed up the road from me, pretty much, like on the top of my hill. So a little quarry.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with the big budget Hollywood version of that, but the books are extremely good. So.
Can we trust Hollywood? I mean, look what they did to the second half of the Harry Potter movies. Look what they did to Artemis Fowl.
I never
liked both of those movies. I never liked Harry Potter.
I couldn't make myself watch the Artemis Fowl movie.
I don't like Artemis Fowl either.
I couldn't either. I never even read the books, but I knew enough because I knew people that read them. Yeah. Oh, Hollywood. We just can't trust Hollywood.
Quickly, though. I do want to talk about something before I know, because we'll move on straight away. You see Matt's icon for the Chronicle drones, you know? I think that looks quite out of place as it stands, you know? I don't think that looks like a Stellaris icon. For a while, I thought it was a wasp, like a fly, rather than like a hand holding a feather.
I still can't see the hand holding a feather.
Yeah. No.
Now, it still looks a bit too realistic. I don't know. And I think it's quite easy to fix. You could just make it a bit more bold, a bit more neon, like the rest of the icons in the game. Or even like make it a tentacle.
Feathers don't really fit sci-fi.
Yeah. Make it a tentacle holding a quill.
Make it a stylus on a data pad, a data slate.
Now, I wonder if that's a temporary icon or not. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, they are because the resource icons tend to be very graphic and abstract. Yeah, so I definitely see what you're saying there. Well, anyway, our main topic for today is going to be the most recent 2 dev diaries for EU4. You guys kind of brushed over the September 8th one last week, but I mentioned that I had a lot to say about these, so don't spend too much time on them. Very unexpected, but cool. They are taking another big look at North America, which is... I think I had expressed previously that I had kind of lost hope for this area being represented well in EU4. To some degree, it's almost like Horse Lords for CK2, where you're asking the engine to represent things that it's really not set up to represent. I mean, North America is probably if you load up the game right now, probably one of the least accurately depicted areas of the world, probably the least accurately depicted area of the world in EU4 currently.
Yeah,
based on
probably the least fun to play too.
Yeah, based on like our current understanding of North America in this time period. So essentially what it seems like they're doing is they are trying to experiment with having sort of an alternate idea of land, quote unquote, ownership, where you can kind of have soft control over an area and then you kind of migrate within those boundaries, but like other tribes can migrate into your area too, or like European colonists can set up colonies within areas that like you control, but you don't directly control. Like what we're looking at is it's like your borders, but then only part of it is colored in, is kind of how it's going to work. And they have mentioned that not all tribes will work like this. Like in this first screenshot, they show the Iroquois as having that like soft control zone around them. For the Iroquois, that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So this could be just an earlier build, and they haven't implemented. Grugi did specifically say some of the tribes are going to start as settled, which is correct and accurate. There were a lot of settled agricultural societies before the Europeans showed up. The idea that it was just all these migrating tribes that didn't stay in one place is not very accurate based on our current
seemingly like migrate randomly across an entire continent. So land of the west coast of Africa. The Salish are here for some reason. What's going on there?
Which, some of that did happen. Like the Ojibwe, who are originally were an agricultural society in more to the east. They got pushed by colonialism and by other tribes that were being displaced by colonialism that then would go on to displace them.
Yeah.
They got pushed into a more nomadic lifestyle. The Arapaho, who by the 1800s were where I am now in kind of like the Front Range of Colorado. They originally were a semi-sedentary society further to the east. So yeah, it like, I'm curious if this is going to help model that better. Like the idea that these native societies were a little bit more settled. And then when Europeans showed up, it's like, okay, everybody's just kind of getting shunted off to the west. And then, there was also demographic collapse, which I don't think EU4 models that terribly well, because there would be no way to really make it an interesting gameplay feature with the way the game is set up currently. Yeah, so it's going to be this. They're going to like model seasonal land use by having you, if you're migratory and you stay in one place for too long, you increase the devastation of the province you're in, which
just sounds bad.
That's what I said last week.
That seems really weird to me because like for as far as we know, the indigenous North American societies were much better at knowing how to keep that land sustainable and productive than the Europeans that came after them. So,
and even the waste they did have, it was, animal products, things that would rot into the earth in a year or two at most.
Like, I feel like it should be more of like an incentive to move versus a disincentive to stay in the same place. Like, this area that we haven't migrated to in a while, if we move here, we get a bonus because, there's
more game to hunt. Now. The soil isn't as worn out. It's had time to rest.
What would you think to having it be wastelands start with prosperity, and when you move there, the prosperity slowly comes down?
Oh.
It could be, or I don't know.
Because it's basically the same thing, just from the other direction. What I said last week was even just a name change. Instead of calling it devastation, call it depletion. As your depletion rank goes up, then you want to move.
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like the way that they're talking about modeling it now, it gives you the impression that they're saying these migratory tribes are like a swarm of locusts. Swoop in and like deplete all the resources from an area before they move on. That was very much not the case.
They're like highly industrialized and they've got like this massive claw machine.
It's just the words.
It's like Howl's Moving Castle and it just leaves a wake of devastation around them.
Yeah. I like the idea that they're playing with a slightly different paradigm of land ownership where it's like, kind of this is our territory, but if you guys want to hang out here for a little bit, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it will allow them to do things like model how influential the Powhatan Confederacy was without blocking the Europeans from being able to use their colonization mechanics at all.
Yeah.
And then, they do talk a little bit in this week's Dev Diary, a little bit more about how settled native societies are going to be, which I believe he did mention the Iroquois are going to be in the final version modeled as a more settled society where they gain native reforms by building buildings in their territory versus having to migrate all the time to do that.
I do really like the idea of it having this controlled but uncontrolled land that allows Europeans to colonize in it. Because, like I've mentioned a few times now, the problem with East Asia at the moment, and likely with the next update, is there's not going to be a chance for the Europeans to get a foothold, right? And actually start colonizing in a historical manner.
Yeah, it's tough, because if you ask me, like, what would be a better way of doing this? It's like, I just don't think EU4 is set up to model this kind of society. Like, you're always going to be on a path to, they even talk about in the dev diary, like, consolidating your power and conquering your neighbors. It's like, well, North American tribes, for the most part, didn't really see that as a desirable goal, but that's kind of what EU4 is built around. So it's
they went to war for sort of honor and...
Yeah, so...
They weren't taking land from each other.
I'm very interested to see what EU5 is going to do with North American tribes. Like, that's kind of my last word on it. Like, I'm glad they're taking another crack at it. I don't think they're going to get it right, and I don't know if this game can do it right, Do
they not fight over resources then? Is that... I don't know much about Native American stuff.
I mean, the thing is, it was like there wasn't a lot of need, at least north of the Rio Grande, to fight for resources, because there weren't a lot of like heavily, centralized sort of hierarchical societies. There was, it was kind of more like, there's enough for everyone to go around, so we're not going to be forced into these resource wars constantly that you see in more developed areas.
And I guess if, resources are plentiful, I guess, because, I know, well, the Native Americans up in Canada and Greenland and stuff, they fought like hell over resources, but it's when it was scarce, right?
Right, right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And you see that more in Mesoamerica, where they had, these very hierarchical, sort of more familiar to European sort of societies.
Yeah.
North America was, it wasn't exactly the same situation. One thing I do really like is that if you stay nomadic, they're going to give you a new government reform where you can become a horde, which they call out the Comanche, which if you haven't read it before, there's a book called Empire of the Summer Moon that is about kind of the horse-centric, semi-nomadic empire that the Comanche set up in response to the colonists. And, the U.S. were afraid of them. The Mexicans were afraid of them. Like, they were kind of a big deal for a while there. And that's a really interesting book if you want to kind of read up on late Native American Plains culture and sort of the society they created in response to all these external pressures and making like wise use of new technologies. It's a really interesting book. And that'll be a fun run, I think. I definitely want to try like a Comanche run where I go full horde mode, more or less. I
will be trying it, of course. I'll go and I'll do some natives. But I think in the 5,500 hours I've got in EU4, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've played as a Native American. Because right now it's not fun, and if this makes it fun, then good, more places that I might want to play.
Yeah. I mean, they were my first game in EU3 and EU4. Both were as the Iroquois. I love playing as in North America. I've outlined here and on other podcasts my issues with how it's represented. I like the idea that they're saying, with this new soft territory control, we could add more tribes, like maybe some of the Mississippian tribes who are very conspicuously missing. I'd like to see more of the agricultural societies around the Great Lakes represented. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be an improvement. I just don't have a lot of faith that EU4 is the right game to tell this story from an indigenous perspective.
It's got limitations. And EU4 is still very much that, I'm calling them now second generation sort of wave of games, which was CK2, EU4, Hoi 4. I think Stellaris and Imperator are kind of second generation, but transitional. with CK3 starting their third generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it marks a nice place with Imperator 2 with, you know, the new engine and everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and it's like I at this point I'm fairly convinced that when they say Paradox Tinto was founded to work on the Europa Universalis franchise, like they've got to at least be talking about EU5 at this point. Like,
well, it came out a year after CK2, and we're on CK3 now.
Do you think that Tinto you're working on EU4 on how it's going to be, you know, used? Sorry, I'm still sick. They're going to be working on on EU4 and keeping it ticking over while another group is working on EU5, perhaps.
My guess would be that Tinto is going to be working mostly on EU5 with maybe some EU4 DLC thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they would found a new studio to just continue to support a game that is already, you know, 7 years old. 7 years old at this point. Yeah. So I think EU5 is at least in like very early. We're discussing what we want from it pre-production, if not further along.
I would expect to at least have it announced 2022, 2023. And now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what comes first? The announcement for EU5 or Victoria 3?
I think it's going to be EU5.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see Victoria 3 for a while at this point.
I need to
actually go back to episode 1 and remember what all of our predictions are, because I'm pretty sure we're going to overshoot all of them.
Well, there's now 15 of the episodes on YouTube. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Stellaris 2.
Oh yeah, Stellaris 2. That's the thought. But I don't think we'll see that before EU5.
Sengoku 2.
Yeah.
Sphere 3?
Yeah.
To do Sphere 2? Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Sphere Rika.
Martian and Eagles remastered.
Yeah, they did say they were considering doing a sequel to Stellaris earlier than they normally do for their other franchises, which
yeah.
Let's be fair.
Stellaris is still the most popular one.
It's going to be CK4.
Yeah, they're just going to go straight from CK3 to CK4.
There you go. We'll get Sengoku 2, but this time it'll not just be Japan. You'll also get Korea and parts of China.
Oh, yes.
That'd be cool.
That would actually be a really cool game.
I want to have a proper Chinese warlord era.
And do it with the CK3
No one's ever done
model.
a game
Ooh.
about the Chinese warlord era. I want to play as Dogmeat General and all the crazy warlords that happened during the warlord era. I want that game. The Northern Expedition.
Yeah.
Nobody's done a game about that, and it's the most interesting period of one of the most interesting periods of history.
Rosebud, you were just noisy on the camera.
Well, we didn't have a lot of CK3 news this week, but I know we've all been playing it. Does anybody have any particularly interesting CK3 stories you want to share as we wind down here?
Oh my God, Border Gore.
Making a perfect circle is glorious.
Oh yeah, did you get that achievement already?
Yes, I did, and did a video on it too.
So that'd be your most rare achievement then?
Currently, yes.
My most rare, I don't even think should be very rare because it's not difficult. It's I got it yesterday. Norman Yoke. 0.1% of people have it. Oh no, actually, it's now 0.2. It's gone up since yesterday.
Well,
it's not a difficult achievement though.
It's starting as though, right?
No. As Norman Yoke, you do have to start as William the Conqueror, but you only have to play one life.
Oh.
And I think, am I wrong that we figured out that the starting as achievements, you can get around the issue with them, a lot of them, if you turn cloud saves off?
Nope, that doesn't work. I tried it.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah,
Mitchman trusted it, and he said it worked for him, but I haven't tried it myself.
It's not working reliably for everybody.
I tried to do it with Mother of Us All achievement. No, it did not work.
Which is still at 0% down here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like a lot of these achievement percentages at this point. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the ones that are like below 0.5% are the ones that are just broken. like,
well, I mean, no, we have end of an era. Play until 1453. Only 0.4% of people.
I'm not.
That's
there.
true.
I don't have that.
I haven't played till 1453 yet.
I haven't even played single player since the game came out. This game is so much fun multiplayer. Like I've just been playing with friends over and over.
Yeah,
it's
you
really
kind of
good.
have to have rules in place, like no abducting player characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping they'll fix the.
I'm just gonna
abduction.
call out all my friends to stop sleeping with my wives and husbands, please.
Yeah.
One thing to point out with the perfect circle is apparently in the game files it says you have to have like less than 58 ancestors total or something. Well, this just says two distinct parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. So if you're going to try for this, you have to try from it as soon as you start the save game up.
Yeah.
If you
less
try
than 58 ancestors, yeah, like some of the like Roman emperors would like already be disqualified because they have their title history, their dynasty history goes all the way back to Augustus.
Well, it's not family history. A lot of different dynasties are involved in there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, there aren't any like extant.
No,
Actually, I'd be curious to see what character in CK3 has the furthest back actual dynastic ancestor.
It must be. I don't know. Would it be the Mohammedan line?
No, I believe the Macedon dynasty for Rome would still win.
Yeah, because the Sayyids, the Mohammedan descendants, they tend to break them up into a bunch of different dynasties. So, like, I don't think Muhammad is anybody's direct dynastic ancestor in either of the start dates. Direct paternal ancestor, yes, but not direct dynastic ancestor.
Yeah.
So
if you've got the achievement thing open, what is the most the achievement that you don't have that more people have? Like the highest up the list that you don't have? 'Cause for me, it's found a holy order. 8.9.
Oh, I got that from Matilda. That was an easy one. Dreadful ruler. Have the maximum amount of dread.
I got that one recently.
I have not played Iron Man at all, so whatever the most common achievement is,
marry another character.
I've got one achievement: marry another character.
Okay, yeah. So that's the thing. That was the only achievement I ever got in CK2. So I need to just play one game of Iron Man, marry another character, and then make that be my only achievement I also have in CK3.
Can I
I don't
point
think
out
I'll ever
as
play
well,
CK3 single player. Like it's multiplayer is just so good in it. It works really well unless you get like a lot of people playing like D-Syncs all the time.
Yeah,
but
when the servers are behaving themselves, as we saw, with the Creator Coliseum, which they've said September 22nd, I think they're going to do a big server restart to fix some of those issues.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
to that.
If
it's like 4 EBU playing a game, I have never had any issues, and that's with Americans like living miles away, and it's really good.
We're trying to set up a 16-player game on my Discord. We're going to wait until after that update.
Yeah.
Can I point out more people have suffered from a mental break than have increased their rank?
Makes sense.
Yeah. If you don't understand the stress system fully yet, it is very easy to kind of end up in a vicious cycle there. Yeah.
Fun thing for people to know. Where is that achievement in here? The achievement for what's it called? Because there's the one for faith. There's one for the highest level of
highest possible level of splendor is a name throughout the world.
That's it.
Are you looking for the one that you get immediately as Hasten?
Yes.
Let me have a look.
Oh yeah.
That is not prowess. Where is it? What did I just say?
I don't know.
A name known throughout the world,
say?
highest known possible level of splendor. I think that's the one you're looking for.
Oh, by the way, that Hungary one is way harder than I thought.
Oh no, that's Dynasty.
Yeah.
What do you mean
the
almost there?
Yeah, the one where you start is almost so the war to actually settle in Hungary is very easy, but then the requirements to like take the decision that changes your religion and changes your culture from Magyar to Hungarian is actually very difficult to do. It took me more than 50 years.
You don't have to do that.
Meet those. Oh, really?
Leanna, go watch my video.
Convert to Christianity.
Go watch my video. You just have to have enough faith, and you go in and you convert faith for yourself, and your vassals all follow you, and it turns to Hungary.
Oh, okay. So you don't actually have to do the decision.
Nope.
That creates the Hungarian culture. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Because the decision that like actually turns you all to Hungarian culture is like, wow, this is going to take some time.
Yeah, because it says almost. Because you can't do it once he dies. I think that video took me like 15 minutes of playing.
Those buttons are kind of weird though, like especially the English culture one. As soon as the Normans take the kingdom, they instantly turn English, which isn't how it works really.
40% instantly turns English. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a gradual thing that
big time,
radiates out.
Because in CK2 it was you had to be someone Norman controlling a Saxon territory.
Yeah.
I know, Rosebud, right? It's too easy now.
Yeah, Rosebud is very upset about the way that Norman culture is modeled in CK3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did the what's it called? The Norman one with William the Bastard.
Mm-hmm.
I did it on stream, and like the whole time I was like, I don't like playing as this guy. He's a bastard, and he's the worst of the 3 potential victors in this war.
Except Lambert.
He lived until he was 78, and I also got the achievement for finishing a full lifestyle with him. I was like, live just 2 more years. And then he died, and I saved scum to get it.
The reality is falling down around us. Lambert is rooting for William the Conqueror to live longer.
Look, as soon as I'd done the achievement for the Norman yoke, I didn't conquer anything extra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the achievement was called Celebrity. That as soon as you log in with
that's it.
Easton, you get this. So if anyone wants the Celebrity and they haven't gotten it yet, just open up a game as Haston of Nantes. It was not even in Nantes. He's somewhere else.
He's just south of Nantes.
They renamed the province. They added a new. It's some weird Breton name that I can't pronounce.
That one.
Any other interesting CK3 stories? I mean, if you follow my Twitter, I've been playing Nepal and having a very good time with the gender equality Vajrayana Buddhism life.
One thing I will say is if you don't turn on the game rules for total exclave independence and limited diplomatic range, the game after 100 years is not fun for me at all. I don't like playing after 100 years if those options aren't on, because you got to crank up that exclave independence, especially if you're starting in 867. Yeah, playing as my campaign's still going on YouTube, but there's I was doing a run as Jarl Fairhair of Norway, first king of Norway, and I was like, I can create a new duchy. I wonder what this one is. Poitiers, that's in France, and I scroll down to France, and I own all of southern France. And I had no idea, and I'm sorry, but that just rankled me.
Yeah, no, okay. They need to add something. My thought is they need to add something to the innovation system where, like, your control and, like, popular opinion in provinces that are distant from your capital and different culture and different religion, like, you just can't administrate them. Like, unless you pour a bunch of gold into it, like, you just don't have the administrative ability. Like, I was playing in Al-Andalus as one of the, like, Visigothic Muslim vassals of the Umayyads, and just suddenly there's just a big chunk of Sweden directly north of me, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
An idea for that would be, the further a county is from your capital, the faster it ticks down in control. And if it gets to 0 control, it's independent. And I would say that the way to fix that is you have to keep putting your marshal down there to increase control. Otherwise, you're going to lose this territory. I think that would be a really interesting way of doing it.
Or you have to have a building chain that mitigates the control loss. So it's like, if you have a lot of money, you can create these kind of far-flung colonies as long as you can keep shipping money over there to build fortifications and hire troops to keep it under control.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's going to be a huge money sink versus just conquering stuff that is closer to you. So,
but the border gore is what
agrees.
really I'm not enjoying right now.
Yeah,
it's too much. And
I agree.
It's not even the meme of border gore bad. It's just it doesn't play well either.
Yeah. Well,
you were mentioning the Macedon dynasty earlier in CK3. Here's their dynasty tree.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
But it doesn't go back very far. They cap it at Count Bardas Fazguli.
And when did he live?
He died November 1st, 876.
Okay, so that wouldn't be them then.
So they don't go back.
Apparently, somebody in Pagan goes back a shit long way to like 5 AD, according to Truden.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Pangel in Tibet. Oh, fuck it. It's Tibet. Obviously, it's bloody Tibet.
Yes.
Oh, wait, what is the Bob Empire? I'm curious about this.
I was doing something with the video. It was Rome. I have to say, it's very annoying. You form Rome, and you go from primogenitor with full crown authority to 1 crown authority and Confederate partition as soon as you switch from the Byzantines to Rome.
That's not good. That shouldn't happen.
So why is the flag got SPQR there? That's the Republic.
I mean, technically, at least during the Principate, they still claimed to be a republic. So, I don't know.
I think at this point the pretenses can be dropped somewhat.
Probably, yeah. Well, anyway, so on that note, we see the Bob Empire here. Rose, what have you been up to on your channel lately, and where can people find that?
On YouTube, we finished forming Rome yesterday, and then we're going to start something else. And then on YouTube, I've got a series where I'm playing over here in Pagan, Form the Kingdom of Pagan. And the episodes of that are going up every other day. And in between, I'm doing either videos that are achievement runs or talking about what we would like to see in CK3, what is better in CK2 than CK3, what CK3 does better than CK2, stuff like that.
Yeah, which is a question I've gotten a lot. So go check out Rose's videos on that. If you're curious, like what would you be giving up if you switch from CK2 to CK3?
The ability to attach armies.
Yeah.
Floaty boaty boys.
Yeah.
Although I don't really, I used to care a lot about that. Not really too pushed now. I do think I think it does add to the problem of the border gore, because instead of needing boats to, invade southern France and northern Africa as Sweden, like they can just float there on their own, like no problem.
Well,
True.
I
think that's a big part of the problem.
If someone is completely landlocked, like Varia here is completely landlocked, they should have to spend astronomical amounts of money to get boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be some advantage to having coastal provinces, like even if it's just a building that gives you reduced naval movement costs or something.
Well, even not if it's, this is coastal, so if your troops leave from your coastal land to go to the water, then boat prices are halved or something. Yeah, that would make sense. And
a big part of the reason why Sweden is so overpowered in this, I mean, you can even see Sweden owning Holland in your game there, is because as a pagan, they get cheaper embark costs. It's like 15 ducats instead of 50 ducats, and that makes a big difference.
Oh, and no, this one's only significant. I forgot to change this one. No, I've been lately changing it to total. And then there's the demonetization button turned off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the demonetization.
Someone said they were going to
make
mod
us
it to
remember
call.
our things. That'd be nice as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll save the videos with nudity turned on. I'll just make a separate like OnlyFans where if you want to watch Crusader Kings with full nudity, that'll just happen.
You know what's
on the OnlyFans.
Also, is a terrible issue I noticed. I haven't really played tribals, but I played a tribal guy and he was under a feudal guy. So I was like, you know what? Let me push the feudal button. The hit to your troops is understandable, but the fact that no buildings transfer over. In CK2, it was balanced because if you spend prestige on buildings, then for every 2 levels of a tribal building, it would translate to 1 level of a feudal building. Here,
the adopt feudal ways button is also the ruin your economy button, so you really have to be ready for it.
I don't think there's enough upsides to being feudal yet.
No, well, not if you start off as feudal, it's not so bad. But if transferring from tribal to feudal,
like you're going to be majorly nerfing yourself for like 2 whole generations at least after you go feudal. So Lambert, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
I've been sick for like over 2 weeks now, which has not been fun. So new content has been pretty thin on the ground. But I have been trying to stream a bit more frequently. Like I said, I did the Norman Yoke either yesterday or the day before. Had to stop because I started coughing too much and almost died. Then I was streaming Mother to Us All the day before that. I had to stop because, coughing too much. I keep pushing myself too far. But on YouTube as well, I've got a Norse Norway campaign that's wrapping up, and there's going to be something new starting there soon. There's an EU4 roleplay multiplayer that's still going on that's quite a lot of fun, and there will be soon another Imperator Rome achievement run campaign starting, trying to get a couple of the Indian achievements in the same run. So that'll be coming soonish. Excellent. And more streaming as I want to do.
That's right. Trudon. So apparently, I'm so sorry, Lambert. But if you go into a save and you opened your game rules, which I did in that save, and then you go out to start a new game and you click in, it remembers. It doesn't remember Iron Man. Or no, it did. No, it didn't remember Iron Man, but it did remember the demonetization and it left it on never.
Okay. All right. That's
weird,
great.
But good.
Yeah, that's useful. That's very useful, actually. Please, in 1.1, please let us save game rule presets.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
I have been working on a bit of my house. Kind of felt a bit burnt out last week, a little bit. So I haven't really done that much last week, sadly, but I worked a bit on my house. Done a few comics, which you can find on Twitter. I made another CK3 comic, which should be out later in the week. And I've made a little support group of like ex-colleagues of scientists where we can bitch about stuff like and de-stress. I got my little WhatsApp little therapy sessions that I have with little scientists. It's great. So that's what I've been doing. Stressing and having therapy sessions with my ex-colleagues, mainly, and drawing comics.
Well, there you go.
And Leanna,
so
I think we cut Lambert off, or I cut Lambert off.
No, I'm good.
Oh,
I'm good.
sorry. Did you?
No,
Did you have more to say?
No, got me YouTube, got me Twitch, got me Twitter, and that's me, dude. I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully the sickness will go away soon.
Cool. So, my channel is still twitch.tv/LoreSwornOrder. I have announced that streams will be officially resuming Sunday, the 20th of September. Definitely some CK3. We're definitely going to be doing some heavy role play. So lots of, pausing and discussing our headcanons about characters and melodrama and stuff that I feel like is underrepresented. If you follow a lot of the bigger CK3 channels, not that what they're doing is any less valid, but this is something that's kind of unique. And I would love it if you would join us for that. Very, very roleplay heavy, very, very narrative heavy, kind of taking our time and focusing more on what goals make sense for specific characters versus trying to kind of metagame or power game or stuff like you. If you followed me for a long time, you already know.
On a related note,
we're going to be doing.
If you make a heresy in CK3 and you're not writing a large little description of what exactly the heresy believes, do something very wrong, right?
Yeah, if you haven't read multiple books on the early church fathers and the development of Catholic theology, I'm just going to say you're playing the game wrong.
If I make a Catholic heresy and my only writing is the Pope's a dickhead and I don't like him, I want my own Pope.
I mean, like,
that's
all right, Martin Luther.
Right? I agree with all of the doctrines, but the Pope is a bit of a wanker. And he slept with my wife.
I mean, that's basically Anglicanism, so it's very on brand.
Yeah. It fits you, Lambert. It fits you all too well.
Look, the Catholics
we don't want to change anything except that we don't want to have to do what the Pope says anymore.
We wanted to put in an extra verse into the Lord's Prayer, and a Pope, being a dickhead, said no, therefore, new religion. Boom, done.
Yeah, that was amazing, because as you became more mad at the Holy See, your accent became more northern. As that sentence went on. I love it. Yeah,
I should just be mad all the time.
Yeah, we have Henry Lambert VIII here.
It happens.
Yeah,
to
my
me
friends
too.
from the U.S. South, the more mad they get, the more southern they sound. So.
Yeah, it happens with all of us. All of us who has to repress our accents for commercial gain. You know, we all have to. We all have
a Twitch voice.
Yeah, we all have a games conference voice.
You can subscribe to the podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Twitch. We are on YouTube now, thanks to Rose.
I'm working on that.
Episodes up.
We're still
little by little.
behind.
We'll be caught up sooner or later. And we'll be back around this same time next week if you want to join us live. So thank you, and we'll see you then.
Toodles.
Bye, everybody.